Look forward to having a good day. I hope that your outcomes would be favorable.
Thank you very much, Lion Walton Gooding, for blessing our proceedings this morning. I want to invite our committee chair, Ms. Lion Yvette McField, who will deliver the opening remarks, and then we'll proceed with our program.
Good morning and welcome all. Today is World Diabetes Day all over the world, and we're here to celebrate it and go forth with education. Thank everyone for coming out, the Lion Center and the community at large. This program is the beginning to a fun-filled, packed event. Education in diabetes is something that we want to have more of. So I look forward to having you all get informed. Thank you all for coming out.
All right, thank you very much, Lion Yvette. And now Lion Yvette has been working very hard to put together today's event. I'll just give you a quick rundown before we move on to the next item on the program of what's happening here today. We have the Cayman Islands Diabetes Association that will be doing testing, free testing. The testing will be the A1C testing. We also have PSA testing, which is for prostate cancer. We have site testing from the Lions Club Eye Clinic and Site Committee, as well as the free diabetes consulting and nutritionist consulting. So please make use of all the facilities that we have provided for today's event. We also have some fun activities happening. We have a raffle that is taking place outside at the HSA Diabetes booth. And the first prize is a $100 gift certificate from ValueMed Pharmacy. The second prize is 2 healthy eating recipe books, My Plate and My Understanding Diabetes booklet. And the third prize is a healthy eating recipe book and a My Plate. So very interesting and exciting prizes. Also, we have the Lions Club Benzorama happening, which is, the drawing is on the 5th of December. So we have Lions out selling tickets. So do get your ticket. Without a ticket, you don't have a chance to win. So please come on down. For those of us who are viewing on our live Facebook stream, thank you for joining us, and please do come down. We have a lot of fun activities happening, and we have free testing. It's World Diabetes Day, so let's come down and check your numbers, which is very important. So I'm going to take us to a very special panel discussion, which I'm very pleased to share with you. And this is a roundtable discussion with individuals who have experience with diabetes, who are working through diabetes, and who can share their life stories. Now, as you know, diabetes is a lifestyle disease. It is also something that you need to pay close attention to. And I'm just going to introduce our panel discussion. We have familiar faces here at the Lions Club. One of our most senior members and our active member, Lion John Ebanks. We also have Lion Cyril Gordon. We have Miss Mina Hides, and we have Venetia. Sorry. So what we're going to do, we're going to start the discussion with Lion John. So, Lion John, please introduce yourself and tell us a little about your background.
Good morning, all. I beg your silence, please. Can I ask you to keep as quiet as possible back there so that others may hear what we have to say? Thank you. I am John Ebanks. I am a type 2 diabetic. I've had diabetes for 38 years plus. February next year will be 39. Since I knew it, not saying I didn't have it before that, but that's when I knew. I went to test and I had a problem with headaches and nausea and whatnot, and that created me to go and have some medical attention done. I just want to let you know, whoever has diabetes, they can live with it. Because I work 24/7, I still have 3 jobs. I'm 76 years old, and you can figure from that. I am restless, I cannot sleep. 4 hours a night is the maximum, and I got to find something to do. Somebody called home a few mornings ago and asked my wife if I had left to go to work yet. It's 7 o'clock in the morning. She said, no, I hear him downstairs, sound like work come to him. So that'll give you an idea, I just got to keep going. When I found out that I had diabetes, I was scared to death. I didn't know where I was going to. Until I started reading it. I'd advise you to read more about diabetes and get familiar with your body, yourself, and know what you can take and what's the limit. You can eat ice cream, by the way, once a month. Sometimes in 3 months I eat it. Not much, 1 scoop. Haven't changed much in my diet. I stick to mostly what I grew up with. Cassava yam, sweet potato, Portland, you name it, breadfruit. I still eat those, although they starch your food. Don't you worry, I limit myself to how much I eat. I eat a lot of seafood, for sure, and I don't eat a lot of meats. Once in a while I'll eat a stew beef, but that's about it in the meat department. A steak once every 6-7 months. One of the things that you gotta learn with diabetes, you gotta take your medication, you gotta eat while you're taking it, because if you don't eat while you're taking it, you get jitters. I tried that. I forgot mine one time and I didn't eat, and I took the medication and I had the jitters. Then I knew what was wrong, so I always carry a set with me for morning and evening in my truck. So when I do forget at home, I still have mine with me. I walk with, and I'll show you, a variety of candies. You might think candies is bad for you. It depends on what kind you really carry. But when I get to the stage where I know my sugar is low, because I checked it before I left home, and I know it's low, I pop one of these in my mouth, I'm good to go. Mind you, it doesn't happen every day, but I carry just in case that I do get that way. Two of the things that you must never do is overwork. And I keep telling myself that, but God forbid, I don't know how I can do it. And I just have the energy to keep on going. But don't overdo yourself, because you get exhausted quick. And at my age, 76, you would get exhausted, of course, but it depends on how much exercise you keep doing. Please exercise as much as you can, even if you do it at home. I had a habit of running up and down the stairs in my house for about 7-8 months, till I got my ankle busted and in an accident, then that stopped. I had to stop then because it was hurting more. It still hurts me now when it gets cloudy. One of the things that I learned from that was the exercise didn't let me lose weight, but it kept me fit, physically fit. And it's good to know that you're physically fit. When I go to the doctor, he tells me nothing else is wrong with you, and your sugar level for the last year has been 6.2, and don't you think that that's bad? That is very good. Because I've been to 8.8, I've been to 10.4, I've been to 14.6, and I finally got myself settled down now. I used to take 2 metformins in the morning, 2 in the afternoon. Now I'm taking 1 in the morning, 1 in the evening. So I have mine fairly well under control. And every time I prick my finger, I don't prick it now every day like I used to, but every other day I try to make it a habit to prick my finger just to see where I'm at. And it's very important, very important. Anybody have any questions in regards of my lifestyle? I can help you.
Okay. Thank you, Lion John, for that. We pass the mic to Lion Cyril Borden. Lion Cyril, just introduce yourself and share a little about your diabetes experience.
Good morning. My name is Cyril Gordon. I was diabetic type 2 over 13 years ago. It first started when I started feeling very thirsty at night. I would get up in the middle of the night, feel thirsty, consume water. Find I've been using the restroom very often. Added to that, my sight become blur, wasn't able to see properly. As a result of that, I know something was wrong. So as a result, I went to the hospital. That's when I realized I was diagnosed type 2 diabetic. Yeah. All right. You heard me? Yes. And from then, when things like that happen to you, my mom was diabetic, but I, as a young boy growing up, I never realized it would have happened to me. So this is one of the things, if you know you have a history of diabetic in your family, it is always good to keep check on yourself to see whether or not you are under the same condition. From that, I had to embrace lifestyle changes. So I changed my diet. I was put on metformin, and then I had to do exercise. And from that, I see the changes. When it comes to dieting, balanced meal is very good. I noticed that with me, when I consume a balanced meal, I control my sugar level very good. But if I try to eat more carbs or more meat and eliminate one, it doesn't really work. So, and right now, I do a lot of exercise. And that helped me a lot. And I must say, in order to control this diabetic, we need to, 1, take the medication, 2, diet, and exercise. If you try to do 2 and you eliminate 1, it is very hard. The 3 goes together. So I just want to encourage any person here, it's not the end of your life, but you can live with it. It's just that you have to do some lifestyle adjustment and continue with those lifetimes. You might find as you get older, things might be a little bit harder, but you just have to continue because it is a lifestyle change, and continue, and then you will see the benefit of it. Some people look at me, they don't realize I'm diabetic. So you can live your life with it. It's not the end of life. Just continue to do it, and you will see the lifetime change will be beneficial to you. Any question?
Thank you, Lion Cyril. We pass the mic along. Thank you.
Morning, my name is Menon. I'm a type 1 diabetic. I've had diabetes for 15 years and counting. I was diagnosed when I was 9 years old. With type 1, my insulin, I don't produce any insulin at all. My pancreas does not work at all. I was diagnosed at 9. My symptoms, it started in class. I was in grade 5. My teacher noticed that I kept asking to use the restroom a lot and asking to get water a lot, and it would disturb the class. And he noticed that something was abnormal about the situation, so he basically sent a letter to my parents. I did look kind of ill. I was a very petite person. I looked like a zombie throughout my worsening symptoms. I went to the doctor, but the doctor said that it was probably the flu. So they gave me medication, but they didn't do further investigation. So obviously the medication that they were giving me also sent up my blood sugar. So the symptoms started worsening. I was always very tired. I remember I fell asleep in the room and the door was locked, and they basically had to break in to check on me, my siblings, because I heard them asking to open the door, but I never had the energy to open the door, and they noticed that something was wrong. And then I went back to school, and I was late for assembly one day, and I just kind of fell asleep. I just kind of passed out because I was late, so I sat in the back, and then it was hard to wake me up and whatnot, so they phoned my mother. She took me to Can't remember her name, Dr. Dr. Cridlin at the time. And she did blood work, and I found out that I had diabetes. They said a day later I could have been in a coma. My blood sugar was almost 1,000. I was then transported to HSA, and I stayed in the hospital for like 2 to 3 weeks with gaining education, checking, learning to check my blood sugar, to give insulin. I take, or at the time I took Novolin N and R, but right now I'm on a short-acting insulin, so Novorapid insulin, which is a short-acting insulin, and also I take Tresiba, which is a long-acting insulin, just to maintain my sugars. After that, my school, they sent me homework, they came to visit me. Everything was a struggle, but it was okay. When I went back to school, it was a bunch of changes. Everyone thought I was contagious. The little friends that I had, I had to like educate them as well, but everyone thought I was contagious. I got bullied. People thought I was just weird. So going into high school, I ended up being homeschooled for a while just to kind of sort myself out. And then now I'm a nursing student just because diabetes has taught me a lot. And I want to become a nurse because I was very sickly as a child with my diabetes. I was always, every birthday, every special occasion, I would be in the hospital. So it inspired me to become a nurse to also help others because others have treated me with so much care, so much compassion, and has taught me a lot. And with type 1 diabetes, or diabetes in general, as everyone said, the main focus is checking your blood sugar, staying active, eating healthy, and giving your insulin. You may not give it on time, but as long as you actually give your insulin and do all of these things, you can live a healthy lifestyle, a normal lifestyle. It is still a struggle for me, but I am very determined, and I just look forward to a positive, bright future. Thank you. That's it.
Thank you so much, Mina, and thank you for being so brave. Can we just give Mina a round of applause? She's such a lovely individual. Thank you for sharing that. And now we invite Felicia to join the discussion.
Are we still morning? Good morning. Feels like a day's gone. My name, as she said, is Felicia McLean. I am a nurse for over 20 years. I know I don't look it. That's okay. I was asked to be a part of this panel to give you guys more of an overview from a nurse's standpoint in regards to taking care of people with diabetes, what it looks like from a health and wellness standpoint. I must applaud every single one of these people so far. They have pretty much summed up that from a step one, diabetes is something you can live with. As you can see here, it affects many different ages. It's not something that happens only when you're old. It's not something that happens when you're young. You can be any age. It doesn't matter. It can affect you. But each of these individuals have learned to live with the disease and not let it conquer them, but they've conquered it. They've found tips and tricks that'll allow them to cope. So whether it's the candy in the pocket, whether it's the exercise, whether it's, reshaping her lifestyle and putting a focus, those are the things you want to look for if and when you may have a diagnosis of diabetes. Before diabetes, one thing I don't want to mention is that you can actually do a lot to prevent type 2 diabetes. You can do exercise from now. You don't have to have a diagnosis of diabetes to decide to exercise. You don't have to have a diagnosis of diabetes to eat healthy. You don't have to have it to, look at your whole lifestyle. And a lot of the key elements in lifestyle and holistic wellness is, like we said, exercise. It's eating well. It's also managing your stress level. Stress is a real big killer. If you are really stressed out, your body gets weaker. It cannot cope well, so then it can't manage the things. So you You want to look at your lifestyle and ensure you're not having too much stress. You also want to sleep well as well. If you don't sleep well, that's another problem. Our bodies can't heal and rejuvenate if we don't get a good night's sleep. And these are all things you can do despite whether you have diabetes or not. Maybe it's high blood pressure. You want to look at your whole lifestyle, all the things that are encompassed in your day-to-day life activities, and try to manage them in a healthier, better way. And eating, like he says, you know, even myself, I mean, I watch how much ice cream I eat, and I'm not diabetic, but I'm not going to sit down and have a tub of ice cream every night. I know that that's not going to be good for me. So it's looking at the things and saying, what can I do to keep myself healthy, whether or not I have this diagnosis? And if you do have this diagnosis, like they said, taking your medication is key. Working with your doctor as well, a lot of things are diet control and lifestyle control. So what can I put into my lifestyle that may help me manage so that I don't need as much medication to control my symptoms? As he mentioned, he went from 2 tablets of metformin to 1 tablet, but that's as he learned how to deal with his diet, as he added exercise and stayed active in there. He only sleeps 4 hours. I would say you need to get a little bit more than 4 hours for a good night's sleep, but he's coping with that and his body is managing. But for optimum health, we know that we need 8 hours of sleep. You also need to drink a lot of water. Water is very important. Our gut is, you know, a big component of our health and wellness, and we are, I think it's like, I forget the actual number, like 75% of water in our bodies. So we need to continue to replenish that and drink water. Staying hydrated, especially living in the Cayman Islands, means it's a big deal for us. If our body is too dry, if we're not hydrated properly, that's also going to affect our overall health and wellness. And then, you know, watching out for things like diabetics tend to suffer a lot from poor circulation. So exercise plays into that, but, you know, watching your foot care, ensuring that you're wearing good shoes that aren't too tight for you, you know, those type of things. Watching to avoid cuts and scrapes. And if you do get cuts and scrapes, how do you care for them? Are you watching it, or is it, oh, a little heal on its own? We know that diabetics have delayed healing, or they're at a higher risk of infection. So you want to also be looking at those things. So that you can manage it. Working with your doctor, working with the people around you. It's not something you take on by yourself. I can guarantee you each one of these individuals will say, I had a mother that helped me, I had a wife that helped me, I had someone in my life that I could lean on. It's not a diagnosis that you need to shun away and go into a corner. It's one that you can stand proud and say, I may have this and I'm going to figure out how to live with it. So you're conquering it, you're not letting it conquer you. And trying to think of anything else that's terribly important to tell you guys. Overall, I mean, I think it's just really, I implore each one of you, no matter what you may have going on in your life, to really look at your day-to-day activities. Do I drink enough water? Am I eating healthy? Am I getting exercise? Am I getting a good night's sleep? And really encompass those things. And if you do those things, no matter what comes your way, your body will be in the best health possible to manage to take it on. And then you might find that things don't change too much, even if you get that diagnosis of diabetes. Anyway, thank you.
Thank you very much, Felicia. Very informative contribution here. I just want to welcome to our roundtable discussion Ms. Tina Bahadur Upstone, who's going to share with us her own experience with diabetes. Tina?
Thank you. Hi, everybody. I am a type 1 diabetic, so very different from the other persons here. I've had diabetes for 32 years. I've had diabetes for 32 years, which is pretty much most of my life, so I don't know any other way to live. After 32 years, I can say happily, I have no complications. As mentioned earlier about circulation and different problems, I have none of that. So I've learned to manage my disease with all your same guidance. Eating healthy, exercising, following doctor's recommendations, sticking to my medication. Stress and sleep is a big thing, and yes, we don't get enough of it. It's not a death sentence once you get a diagnosis of diabetes. When you're older and you get a diagnosis of having diabetes, it is harder because you've formed your patterns of your life. You've lived however many years and you know that that is your routine. And then you get this diagnosis, oh, You need to start exercising more. You need to add more vegetables to your diet. You haven't been doing this for most of your life. So it's a lot harder to accept, but it is something that you can accept. You can change it. It's just a matter of your personal belief and your mindset. So whatever you can do to make your life healthier, you should do it. Diabetes is nothing to be afraid of. It's a blessing in some aspects because it helps you to lose weight for some people. It helps you to live a healthier life, diet and exercise. So it's something that you should not be ashamed of or be afraid of. Just accept it and know that you can live many, 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 many more years with the disease.
Thank you very much, Tina. All right, so pass the mic there. So we will open up the floor for anyone who has questions. Just wave your hand and I will come to you. But I'm just curious about, for example, Felicia, this year's theme for World Diabetes is the nurse and diabetes. So from your experience, do you get difficulty getting patients to be compliant with the doctor's instructions?
I think that's a definite yes. There's not always, as you can tell, we have a really good set of panelists here who have lived with it long, but in the early days, I mean, think about it. If you were used to doing X, Y, and Z, and all of a sudden you've been given this diagnosis that now you can't have these things while you're trying to get under control, it'll be hard for any one of us to manage and do. And then also sometimes people get complacent when they start to feel better, then they think, I don't have to do that anymore. And I want things to go back to normal because I want that. I mean, I think of my daughter who doesn't have diabetes, but she has a lot of allergies. And some days she looks at me and she goes, well, why would God take away the things that I love? I mean, that's what people are facing when you give them a diagnosis at any age that you now have to change your lifestyle. Hence why my talk is more about let's change it now. Let's look at the things that we can put in place that make us healthy now so that if something does come, it's not a big change and maybe it won't come at all if we're really taking care of ourselves. But yes, it is a hard pill to swallow to change what you consider to be normal to a new norm. And so it's difficult, but it takes a lot of education. It takes journeying with the patient and the family in what they can do. And unfortunately with diabetes, you can't just take baby steps. You can't say, well, we'll do a little today and a little bit tomorrow because the levels are really high and it's really dangerous to have really high levels for a long time because you can affect your vision, you can affect a lot of other issues, your body, your liver, your kidneys. And so you have to do it fast. It's a quick change overnight. And so that is difficult. So that's why we say don't do it alone, lean on people around you. You know, it might mean the whole family has to change their diet to make it easier on the one person in the family that has to do it. But that's not a bad thing. We need to think about the way that people eat when they're diabetic is actually a good, healthy diet. Exercise is good. Water is good. Sleep is good for all of us.
Okay, thank you. Now, I'm just curious, Mina, as a young person, coping with diabetes, just, you know, what would be your advice to young people? Because at a young age, you're not thinking about your health. You're thinking about a multitude of things. So for young people who may be looking at us on Facebook or on our YouTube channel, what would be your message to them or your advice to them?
That is a lot to swallow. I'm actually still struggling myself with that, with the coping, in terms of stress and lack of sleep and whatnot. But I feel the best thing to tell people is to find your support and stick close to your support. I feel like you cannot do it alone. There's gonna be ups and downs, but once you have support that you can lean on, then stress will be reduced. It will not go away, but it will be reduced. If you feel like, oh, you're ill or you're just not, you're having an off day, you don't want to do medications, you don't want to do glucose checks, just have that one person can remind you. I suffer from a lot of lows, especially with stress. So I always have my aunt to remind me, hey, you need to check your sugar. Make sure you check your sugar. If you're studying late, make sure you eat. Make sure you check your sugar. But my thing is with support. Once you have support, and also you have to put in the effort. Everything does not come overnight, but you can't just neglect your illness just because you don't want to do it today or just so. But I think it's all about support.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Mina. Now, as a young but not so young person, Lion John, for those in your age group, you know about, you have the life experience. You would have heard about diabetes, but there are some in our community, in our nation-building age group, who still don't give that much attention to, those little signs. From your experience, I know you touched on it before, but what do you think would be the key markers that someone in our silver years should be looking for when it comes to diabetes?
When it comes to diabetes, really, you have to be prepared for it. And especially in the older age, you got to be careful, mindful of what you eat, what you drink. And your exercise is so important for you. That's why I keep busy. I find myself lacking the time to go to do proper exercise, but I don't need it, believe you me, because I'm always busy. I make myself busy. I find things to do. I create things to do. I remember when I was a little boy, we used to make toys. We didn't buy toys. I now still make toys. My caravan, my chicken coop, I call them my toys. I find things to do. I create things. The best thing at this age to do is to put yourself aside from all other things and think about you. Think about you. Think about tomorrow. Don't put it far, but think about at least tomorrow. What will I do tomorrow? Plan day by day. You can't plan for years or months or weeks or days, but one day at a time. You benefit from that because you know what you plan for tomorrow, and you plan today what you're going to do tomorrow. Don't go long term, because you half the time in my age you forget. That's why I say don't go long term. Unless I write it down, and if I write it down, I can throw away the piece of paper. That is for sure. But if I don't write it down, I got problems. If you look at my phone, you look at the days and the month, and you see about 4 or 5 things that I one day. 6, 7 sometimes. Sometimes the phone can't take it. But you have to keep reminding yourself of the things that you actually prepared to do. You can't rely on memory. When you get 76, forget about the memory. That lapse. But once you have the mind to do it, the frame of mind that you are obligated, for the matter of want for a better word, to do things, you will find the time to do it. Believe you me. And you can say, well, I'm busy, I can't find the time to do it. Never do that. Create the time, make the time, and you can still get through it. My advice in respect of at the age when you get to my age is to try to maintain a stable life. Don't take on these people's problems and think you can solve them, because you cannot solve everybody's problem. If it was salt, I would give them a green every day. If it was sugar, I could give them a green, but I can't help plenty of them. Their problems is too much. And I can't go there because I don't look forward, I don't look back. And I can't go back where they're coming from. So I don't take on their problems at all. So I never had it and never will have it, because I disassociate myself from other people's problems. Don't take on problems. You don't need it in this life.
And that's life advice as well, correct? Don't let other people's burdens be your burdens. You can help lighten the load, but don't take it as your own. Tina, just tell us a little about what it is like in the day of life of someone with type 1 diabetes? Like, what do you do? What does your meal look like? So that for those who are not familiar with what that lifestyle is like, you can give them that kind of context.
Wow, a day in the life of a diabetic. That's a very interesting day because no 2 days are alike. Today, I will have a slice of toast, cottage cheese, and tomatoes for breakfast with a cup of coffee. And that will be breakfast. Lunch will be salad, a little rice and chicken. And then dinner time would be just maybe a salad. My numbers would be excellent. Tomorrow, I repeat the exact same meal. My numbers will be off the charts. What happened? Where did I go wrong? I can't figure it out. I dose the exact same way. I exercise the exact same way. I keep my office the exact same temperature because temperature does affect you. And it changes. So as I mentioned before, no 2 days are alike. You can't kill yourself. Diabetes is not a sprint, it's a marathon. And for me, I take it day by day. So I deal with today. So if I have my meals, and I try to stick within the same, kind of meals every day. So it's very boring. My diet is extremely boring. But I do that because I'm able to dose my medication closer. And I'm able to monitor what I'm doing than just being, willy-nilly. And yeah, of course, I'm human. I'll go off and I'll, do something that's not a part of the plan. But I try to maintain what I'm doing at all times. It gets difficult when you have stress and somebody comes to you with their problems. And as humans, we all have friends and family and we're trying to help. We have to know how to compartmentalize. And we have to put ourselves first, as you mentioned. It's very important because diabetes in itself is a job. That is a full-time job. And if you don't manage it properly, it can cause significant problems, I'm lucky to have had the support of family, friends, doctors, dietitian, my community to assist me in my struggles and my disease. But it's an individual disease. So I would have the same meals, the same dosage, the same thing as Mina would, because I'm just comparing us because we're females, and our numbers will be completely different. We could be the same age, it could be completely different. So don't compare yourself to another diabetic. Everybody is different. Everybody deals with your body processed food and your medication, your exercise is very different. So, yeah, exactly. And listen to your body. That's very important. You have to listen to your body.
Okay. Thank you, Tina. Lion Cyril, as a young professional, how do you manage dealing with a lifestyle disease like diabetes and still, perform at your job, take care of your family? That must be a difficult task for you. Can you shed some insight on how you have been able to juggle all those balls in the air?
Yes, sometimes it becomes very difficult, but as I said from the beginning, it's a lifestyle change. And once you know what to do in the morning, you make sure that you prepare your diet. The morning diet is kind of hard for me because, in the morning you have to have sweets. But I hardly use sugar. And I hardly use fruits because most fruits contain sugar. And I take my medication, and that is very important. I go to work. I don't hardly eat rice. I mostly eat sweet potato for the ground provision, baked chicken. As I said, vegetable, because I find if you don't eat a balanced meal, it's very hard to regulate your sugar. So I tend to have a balanced meal, and I find when I use that, because over the years I was trying to understand my body. So I realized when I do a balanced meal, it helped me throughout the day. In the evening now, If I'm working, I get a salad. If I'm not working, every evening I go to exercise. And sometimes people think when you go to exercise, you have to run. You don't have to run. I brisk walk most of the time because I exercise so much now that my knees give me problem. So what I do now, I walk, but I brisk walk. And I find out when you brisk walk, it does so much for my sugar level. At one time, I used to be confused because after finish exercise, you used to say when exercise, your sugar level goes down. But I find after exercise and I test my sugar, it goes up. It was very high, so I was confused. And I started to do some research. So basically the same because your pancreas knows that your body is demanding so much glucose, sugar. It pulls it from the muscles, so it becomes high. But after like 2 or so hours, you realize it come back to normal. But I try to do my exercise, my dieting, and my medication. Those three combined, you can really, and I'm very kind, but sometimes I kind of fall off. But with those trees, your sugar level, you can control it and continue your life. Yes.
All right, thank you. Now, I just want to share with you some of the signs that you can look out for with type 2 diabetes. Now, as you can see from our round table, diabetes has different faces. So it's not just one specific group of people, age group, or ethnicity. Diabetes can attack anyone. And some of the signs for type 2 diabetes are peeing more than usual or urinating, especially at night, feeling thirsty all the time, feeling very tired, losing weight without trying to. There is also itching around your private parts. There are cuts and wounds that take a little longer to heal than usual, and blurred vision. Now, these are warning signs that could be for any other disease as well. So any time you feel like you're not feeling yourself, you should still consult a physician because it may not necessarily be diabetes, but it is a warning sign. As Tina said, you have to listen to your body. What is my body saying to me today? And there are at-risk groups as well. If you are over the age of 40, or for some groups like South Asians over the age of 25, you are at risk. Now, especially if you have a close relative who also has diabetes, your risk for it also increases, such as a parent, a sibling, in your immediate family. If you are also overweight or obese, that also opens the door for risk of developing diabetes. The highest at-risk groups are Asians, African Caribbean, or Black African origins. So we Caribbean people take it for granted that diabetes won't happen to us or we won't get sick because we have remedies for everything from fever grass to any kind of bush medicine. While that may be helpful, it's also important that you consult your physician, look at what's happening with you internally, remember your family history as well, and that can help paint a picture of your health. Now, for our group, I just want to say a big thank you for you sharing your stories with us, and I'll give you the opportunity to say your final thoughts before we close this part of the program. Anyone in the audience, if you have any questions, please let me know. If not, I'll just let the panel give their final thoughts before we conclude this part of the program.
Well, my final thought would be that diabetes, as I mentioned, is not a life sentence. It's not the end of the world. It's a disease that you can continue living with. You just need to have the proper mindset, the proper support, and you can live a long, healthy life. Do not, once you get the diagnosis, do not think that, oh my gosh, this is the end. No, it's not. It's probably just the beginning. And take it each day, one day at a time, and live your life to the fullest.
I ditto to that, but let me just add that the most important thing is knowing that you have diabetes is taking care of yourself. You have to put yourself utmost first, then others come behind. Please eat properly and exercise if you can, and take your medication. Don't be like me, forget it. Try to keep the memory lapse going because it is very important that you take your medication on time. One of the things you don't want to do is overlap your medication. That happened to me once, and I almost had a blackout because I forgot to take the morning one, and it was the afternoon, and I took morning and afternoon. So I had a full dose one day, but it blanked me out. I slept like a baby. So don't try that. Try to make it at least 12 hours between, maximum of 12 hours in between the intake of your medication so that you can actually live from one day to the other, 12 hours at a time. In 24 hours, if you take your medication, you're on. If you have any other doubts about yourself, go back and see your doctor. And try to keep one doctor. If you have any failures in that one doctor, change your doctor. But try to maintain one doctor and take advice accordingly. Thank you.
I just want to encourage anyone that early detection is key. So for most of the signs that we have discussed here this morning, like blurred vision, thirstiness at night, tiredness, if you're encountering these issues, it's best to visit the doctor because the earlier you detect that you're diabetic, it will be better for you because after a while these things create organ damages. So the earlier you detect this, it's much better for us. Listen to your doctor. Don't try to cheat whenever you're going to see the doctor. If you're living a lifestyle, don't start taking your medication because you know you're going to visit the doctor. A lot of people does that. You're going to see the doctor tomorrow. They've been drinking alcohol. No, I'm not drinking tonight. They're going to see the doctor. The doctor needs to know what is happening to your body. So if you're going to stop drink before you go and see the doctor, and after you see the doctor, you're going to go and drink again, it doesn't make any sense. So try to be as honest as you could. If you're living this lifestyle all the time, continue that lifestyle until you go to see the doctor because it gives the doctor a better overall picture as to what is going on with your body so that they can administer the right medication and the right dosage for you. And for those who have diabetic, as you all say, it's not a death sentence. It's just a lifestyle change, and you can live your life ordinary as you go by. Thank you.
I think the panel kind of summed it up already, but basically, I would encourage people to be patient with ourselves because we all are doing the best that we can. It is a tough road, but it is one that we can conquer. Make sure you take medication, make sure you check your sugar, as everyone said, eat healthy, exercise, all of these things that I am struggling myself to do to maintain consistently, but I am very determined, and once you put in the effort, you will be pleased with yourself because it is a hard journey, but we can all overcome it. We all want the same outcome, a long, healthy lifestyle without complications. So if you know someone who's diabetic, just continue to support them. We all need the support. And if you're experiencing symptoms, or if you know someone who may experience similar symptoms, just encourage them to seek a doctor and get themselves checked out. But that's all, basically.
Yeah, I must say the panelists did sum it up very well, but you know what? No one knows it better than those that are walking in it themselves. And all of these people are walking with diabetes, surviving, conquering. And so they know, and like they said, it's not easy from day to day. They're not all the same. They're still struggling, they're still learning, but they're not letting it stop them from living. And that's what's most important, is you want to live, and you want to live life to the fullest. Now, you might have trouble with eating well or getting the different things. If you need help, there are avenues you can get help. Like they said, your physician, the nutritionist, maybe a dietary coach, maybe an exercise coach. You know, partner with who you need to partner with to get help. Talk with your nurse, talk with your physician. They can maybe help you find ways that you can manage your symptoms and control your sugar levels correctly without it being too hard on you. Don't feel like it's a life sentence and there's nothing you can do. In today's day and age, there are tons of tools. I mean, even if we look in our app world with our phones, there are now apps on your phone that you can track what you eat, you can track what your sugars are, you can kind of monitor it and see it at a glance, which really helps you, which we didn't have in the past. So there are lots and lots of things that can help you with managing your diabetes. And just remember, it's not a life sentence, it's just simply a slightly different path down that road. And if you take on that challenge and you're consistent, you can live well, productive, vibrant lives, just like someone without diabetes.
Thank you so much, and that's great advice. I just want to say thank you again to our panel, and thank you to everyone who's here listening, and to those who are with us on Facebook and YouTube. Can we just give the panel a great round of applause for their contribution this morning? It's not easy sharing your life story, and it's not easy dealing with diabetes, but we thank you for being the brave soldiers that you are and sharing the information that you have. Now, we are going to take a quick break, but I implore you to stick around because we have a packed program ahead. We have Tamara Worms-Riley, who will be coming in to talk about your diet. We also have Jamelia Buddhis, who is coming in to talk about foot care. It's a point that Felicia touched on, your feet. It is also an important part of diabetes as well, so you can't not pay attention to your feet. And later on, we have Dr. Diana Hislop-Chestnut, who will be coming to talk about diabetes from a medical perspective. And we're closing off the evening with a special dance item from Bailamos Dance Studio, so trust me, you won't want to miss that. We are here live at the Lions Center for the first annual Diabetes Health Fair on World Diabetes Day, and this is celebrating nurses. Do stick around, we'll be right back.